Hello everyone, Peter Grada here
Hi everyone.
to bring you the latest info on snoring, because Peter's been snoring a lot since Mother's Day. I still actually don't know what changed or what happened.
She used to blame it onto a Dutch cook called stroopwafel or syrup waffles.
Yeah, have you ever had Dutch stroopwafels or syrup waffles or whatever from the supermarket? I don't like them because they're too sweet, but when Peter lived in Holland, he couldn't help himself. He used to buy a package of freshly baked syrup waffles on his way home from work every day. So sometimes for sentimental value, Peter will still buy himself a packet of those biscuits, or the kids will give it to him. Or he will actually, because Peter tends to do all our grocery shopping because I hate supermarkets.
Last time we had stroopwafels in the drawer, one of the kids had bought them for me for my birthday, I think, and they disappeared before I even had one.
But I didn't eat them. It was one of our sons who was a bit like Peter. So I always know when Pete's been sneaking a stroopwafel into his daily, in between meals, because he'll snore at night, and he's been snoring a lot lately, but he confesses that he hasn't had any of those Dutch biscuits. So Peter's been doing some research into what causes snoring and what you can do about it.
Well, it's blocked nasal passages and swelling of the mucus lining or the membranes around the throat area, but mainly if it's confined mainly to males, which I am, but mind you, Grada can do a share of snoring as well, and it's mainly between the ages of 30 and 65, so I'm getting close to the end of that one.
Peter has a few more years to
Overweight, which I'm not. High blood pressure, which
he doesn't have.
My blood pressures are normal. What was the other one?
That you're a male, high blood pressure, overweight, and between, what did it say? Between 30 and 65 years of age. But that's pretty broad range.
Years ago, I remember my nose used to get blocked quite often at night time. I'd always have to have a hanky, and I'd have to...
But don't go into too much.
No, I won't.
No oversharing.
I won't go into too much detail, but I had to unblock my nose nearly every night.
COVID-19.
And you're not meant to mention that.
Sorry. I'll take it back.
Anyway, since we have been eating mainly a ketogenic style diet,
that means
food list.
We cut out bread, we cut out carbs.
High carbs and sugars, and had a lot more fats. My nose has been clear. And Grada, just something that she used to do was need an afternoon nap.
Oh yeah, but I didn't give in to it. But I was always fighting.
She was always fighting an afternoon nap and could have quite easily gone to sleep. But now if she lies down after lunch on the bed, she can never go to sleep. Because it's, in that sense, we went low carb, high fat, keto. But so the carbohydrates do seem to
they really pull you down.
Have an effect on the mucous membranes. Or what it can be is chronic sinusitis is often caused by a candida problem in the nasal passages and in the sinuses.
And that comes from your gut, doesn't it?
So what do high starch carbohydrates turn into? Sugar, which feeds yeasts.
Which feeds candida.
Now we know, well, there was a young mum come to me one time with a teenage son who from his childhood, from early childhood, he had suffered with allergies and blocked nose, couldn't sleep. He had hardly slept a full night's sleep all his life. And she was about to take him to the ear, nose and throat specialist, and he was wanting to
drill out his hole.
Rebore his nasal passages, so he'd be able to breathe through his nose. Anyway, I suggested three simple things. One was to go to a local beekeeper and get the cappings from the honeycomb that they take off when they extract the honey, and get him to chew that several times a day.
Is it like beeswax?
It's beeswax, yeah. But it holds a lot of the pollens that the bees gather. And it's like a homeopathic dose of the pollens and it desensitizes against hay fever and things like that.
The only problem is it's not that easy to find a beekeeper now.
No, but you have to get it in your local environment also, because then they have all the grasses and pollens and so on. The next thing was to get a low dose 3% hydrogen peroxide. When I was nursing, we used to use that to clean up stuffy or dirty wounds with patients, and this will clear sinuses as well. When I used to get a blocked nose years ago, I'd hop up and sniff 1 or 2 drops of hydrogen peroxide, 3%, into each nostril, and my sinuses would clear within 10 to 20 seconds.
So this is something from your nursing days, isn't it?
And I'd be able to go back to sleep with clear sinuses. Now this young teenage lad, his mum went home and she got some 3% hydrogen peroxide, and he sniffed a couple of drops up each nose into his sinuses, and he slept all night without any breathing problem
for the
first time in years, and from then on he's been sleeping fine.
Okay, pretty amazing.
She cancelled the ENT appointment.
Okay, and what's the third one?
The third thing is you need to eliminate candida, because it's often a candida spore in the sinuses that's causing the problems in the nose, and so you can't breathe properly.
And candida is really a yeast overgrowth in the body.
It's normally a yeast in our intestines.
And then it turns into a fungus.
And then it causes leaky gut. Now, literature also tells us probably 80% of people would have leaky gut syndrome and lots of them without even knowing it.
You would get leaky gut as well from washing your hands non-stop with antimicrobial stuff.
Yeah. So the third thing I suggested for this young boy was to have a good probiotic. And often candida and parasites go hand in hand as well, so a lot of toxins go out into the bloodstream from the digestive tract. Candida produces a lot of toxins.
Produces formaldehyde.
Can cause a lot of different symptoms in people's...
Which makes you feel dizzy and brain fog. Like if lots of people complain about brain fog, that means like you just can't think clearly and you're absent-minded, or it's really, really hard to focus. That's due to candida producing toxins like formaldehyde, which is like you're brewing your own alcohol, like I said.
It's meant to preserve body parts.
Yeah, so you're actually brewing your own whatever formaldehyde without having the enjoyment of even drinking any alcohol, by the way.
And just a bit of trivia that we've probably shared in the past at times, but back in the Vietnam War days, when American soldiers were killed out in the jungle,
bush,
they would start wouldn't start decomposing for 4 or 5 days, whereas the Vietnamese, if they were killed, they'd start decomposing within 24 hours. Formaldehyde preserves body parts, so...
They got that in the Coke, didn't they? Peter?
Well, they would have been eating a high sugar diet with lots of antibiotics.
I know that the soldiers who went to Afghanistan and the Middle East, their rations, or how do you say that?
Their fluid rations were...
Yeah, with Coke, Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. Yeah.
Which is shocking, and then in the sun that created really toxic reactions in the body. So yeah, that's right. So this is what your body has to contend with, and you don't have to be suffering like this. That's what they want to say. Yeah. Peter hasn't had any Diet Coke or Coke for like 40 years or something like that, Pete?
Yeah, but Grada says that this has been, my snoring has been happening since Mother's Day, so that's a month.
No, it's too long.
We probably did have a bit of bread when we had the family over.
But it can be potatoes at all. So anything that's too starchy.
Too starchy.
And the other thing I noticed with Pete, like Pete is extremely fit and he's also very, muscly, and he really doesn't have any excess fat on his body at all. He's very lean. But if Peter gains a couple of kilos, he'll start snoring straight away. But which he hasn't done this time, so that's strange. Otherwise, I would have put him on a diet.
I perhaps have gained a kilo or two over this time because...
Yeah, it's really strange. It seems to go straight to his nose when he gains a couple of kilos.
And one of the best probiotics to seal and heal your intestines is one that I've researched just recently. It's a spore-based bacilli. In these ones, there's 3 different ones. We have had Synthol for a long time, which is really great. Which we used to recommend for people to combat candida with, and I looked at that the other day and noticed that it had one of the bacilli in as well.
So it's really good as well, yeah?
They're superior to other ones to seal and heal the gut. They'll actually withstand antibiotics and the harsh environment of the stomach acid. So they'll stay living, whereas the other ones that don't have that little spore around them often die off due to the stomach acid.
Because stomach acid's like a fire.
Yeah.
And then this is like a really favourite one of us, to detoxicator. It's pretty good, isn't it?
It does have some extra probiotics, but what's good about it is...
Lots of enzymes.
It has lots of enzymes, and it also has some things in there to ward off or kill parasites, which often parasites and candida go hand in hand.
And they release toxin that develop your mucous membrane, so snoring can happen from that as well.
Yeah.
I look hot because you're making me feel hot. No, it's not actually. I just had a really, really hot bath because I felt like I needed it. But I'm starting to get a bit hot, so can we finish this soon, Pete?
We can. Yeah. I'll pop a link in of a podcast I listened to about the spore-based probiotics, which I found fascinating, and it tells about the science that they do, which proves that they are very good at sealing and healing the gut.
They're like the answer for today's problems. We forgot to mention salt. I don't know if you can see that. So I always have salt in my room, and it's actually really good to have some salt on your bedside cabinet, because you can just put, you don't put it up your nose.
If you get a cough or anything during the night, just have a little bit of salt.
Really good for persistent coughs, because it just relaxes all the mucous membranes, and
have a little bit of water there as well to swirl it down with.
Well, mine is. I needed that, so that's good. So that really opens up and relaxes this whole upper respiratory part of your body. It's meant to be really good to help people with asthma as well. Put a bit of salt on the tongue. It's good for lots of things. So we're going to try that out tonight and make sure that Peter doesn't snore. Otherwise, it's going to be spare bedroom, or maybe he might even have to sleep in my massage room. So you better all cross your fingers and toes for Peter that it's working.
I'll try what I recommended that young bloke for his allergies and things.
Oh yeah, we meant to say, by the way, if you've tried everything to combat your candida, some people they've gone on a really strict diet, you know, cut out all sugar and starches and so on. Some people have just even been on a water diet and still not been able to get rid of their candida issues. You need to come and see me for a treatment, because it usually means that your immune system doesn't want to go looking in, it doesn't want to address the candida problem, because it's literally connected to some sort of trauma that happened to you in your life, like probably your worst trauma. And then the immune system goes, I'd much rather suppress that trauma than deal with the candida, so she or he can just put up with the candida problems. And literally, with one of my sessions, or Peter can do it as well, the candida clears up, it dissolves instantly, literally. Sometimes you can even smell it in the room as it is released from the body, so that's really, really strange. But we don't have to understand everything. The main point is that it works and it clears and you feel so much better.
Everything is energy, so it's energy work that balances it and gets rid of it.
I think it's really important that you know that you don't need to suffer endlessly, and it doesn't, you know, you don't need to waste any more time. Just come and book in for a session, and we help your body to overcome it. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I really look forward to seeing you next week. I hope you stay warm and safe and keep on.
And hopefully we're still together.
Well, yeah. And hopefully feel relaxed and take good care of yourself.
Okay, have a good week.
Bye-bye.